Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another match preview on the channel. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a well-earned rest, I think, after all the stress Leicester City put us through. And tonight we discussed the midweek game as Leicester City head to the Etihad on Wednesday night to take on Manchester City, the current Premier League champions. Then a Manchester City side who have been very much hit and miss this season, haven't they? But they're still in the chances of obviously Champions League football and that. And it's going to be an interesting challenge against Manchester City. And will Leicester City finally score? Is the question we all ask ourselves, And if we do, I think it'll be like winning the Premier League again. But get involved, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And you haven't subscribed already, please get down and do so. It'll help me out massively. Will be, how are you, mate? Hope you're well. Let's get my guest in. Connor, how are you?
Hello. How are we?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. Right,
Good,
Connor,
good.
if nobody knows who you are, plug your TikTok page.
Okay, it's basically Connor LCFC. It's just a background of the Leicester Stadium sort of thing. It's got Dewsbury Hall lifting the trophy. I'll have to sort a new profile picture at some point, but that's that for now. I think I'm just over 1.2k now, which is pretty good for where I was at a couple of months ago.
Fantastic. Terry, how are you? I mean, greetings to this evening, Terry, mate. I don't know about Wednesday night, but Wednesday night's a very grueling challenge for Leicester in the next 4 fixtures for the Foxes. Connor, talk to me about Leicester. We are back now in the Premier League. It's been a well-earned international break rest for the Foxes, let's be honest. Let's see if Rude and his squad have actually learned anything during this international break. Apparently, they're putting a lot of hard work. But yeah, what are you going to be learning maybe over these next 9 games? Obviously, Rude did talk in his press conference today about the next 4, which is Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, and Liverpool. They seem to be relishing them types of challenges against the bigger sides in the league. But what do you actually make of Leicester for these next 9 fixtures?
Yeah, I mean it's an uphill battle now, isn't it? Really, we're also 9 points ahead of us now. It's 4 games really that we need to win, and the next 4 fixtures are not helping us out, are they? Liverpool obviously could win the league at the King Power, I think. Man City have been underwhelming, I think, this season. Obviously, with playing Bournemouth as well yesterday, should give us a bit of a fitness advantage, but whether that's going to happen or not, I don't really know. But Haaland, out injured, potentially a bit of a lifeline for us, not to concede 5 or 6. So it all depends, I think, on Man City, but I think the main goal is scoring a goal, to be honest. We need a goal from someone. I think a goal is always a confidence build, isn't it, for any team that are on a goal drought,
Yeah.
But I mean, the next 4 fixtures are absolutely horrible when you want to be trying to stay up in the Premier League. But it comes down to class, the tactics on the manager, the subs and the lineups he chooses. I know he's not got a lot to work with, unfortunately, but it comes down to a lot of things. If the other team don't turn up on a day, it's a chance. But I think the teams around us, Wolves especially, have just more fight than us, unfortunately, and I can't really see us doing anything, unfortunately.
Terry says we'll need to park the bus to stop a thrashing. I mean, Terry, mate, we'd get our bloody windows pinned in, mate. Let's be honest. They'd still find a way into the goal, Terry, if we put the bloody team bus in front of the goal. Let's be fair.
Jack, you've tried negotiating putting coach fee on the goal line, haven't you? From what I've been hearing.
They've got to try something, haven't they? Let's be fair. It can't go on like this, can it, for bloody Leicester City? You know, and
It can.
this has been the module this season, hasn't it, with Leicester? We just don't look threatening enough, you know, the quality, we're just lacking in all areas. I mean, we want to defend, but we can't defend, you know, we're letting in goals like it's nobody's business. I mean, we've got an attack which is not really threatening to anybody in the league at the minute. I mean, we had 4 wins in the league all season, Southampton away, Bournemouth at home, Tottenham away, West Ham at home. So it's been very grueling being a Foxes fan this season. You know, we've not had much of enjoyment, if I'm honest. But this is the toughest 9 fixtures you could probably face in the Premier League for a side who's battling the relegation battle at the minute. And Wolves seem to have that real cutting edge, don't they? That real edge on the sides of Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton, which look very much like they're going down to the Championship. But it's how Leicester plan going forward, Connor. I mean, what do you think the plan is for Leicester? I mean, you've obviously got the likes of Will Alves next season, Ben Nelson, them types of players. I mean, how do Leicester really plan for the Championship?
It all comes down to sort of the outcome of the EFL. You know, if we have an embargo, there's all sorts of things that, you know, come into this. And if we do get a transfer embargo, we will struggle 100%. But I think it's also a chance to have that reality check that the club has needed in the last couple of years, certainly with, you know, splashing wages on players like Ryan Bertrand and Vestergaard, respectively. You know, I think some of the players at the club at the moment just don't really care for the shirt. They care for the wages more than anything else. I think we need to get players back to like a normal wage, you know, 40, 50 a week, and go from there. You know, you see players at Brentford on twice as less as Vestergaard and Danny Ward and things like that. So I think the wages certainly need to be sorted out. The youth, we've had a really good academy for quite a few years, haven't we, Jack? The youth and the recruitment of Leicester has actually been pretty good. You know, we've got the likes of Jeremy Monga coming in and Jake Evans, you know, players like that can, you know, do something in the Championship next season. So it'll be interesting to see what the young'uns do. But I do think we should start bringing some youth in and see how we get on.
I just think if you bring the youth in at this point of the season, you've got nothing to lose, have you? Obviously,
No, of course
we talked about the Great Escape, the 14-15 season, where there was a lot of fight with that Nigel Pearson side. You had an Esteban Cambiasso in midfield, which we've obviously not got to these type of players to do one of them. Obviously, Jamie Vardy, it's like that attacking threat. He's having to bloody defend more than attack because he's not getting the upright service, is he, to be fair, from an Ayew, a Deke or Reed or whoever's playing in them positions to give him the ball. And the thing is, it's been a massive struggle, hasn't it, Connor? Obviously, Leicester have now tested probably every player in the squad, haven't they, this season, to see who can fit in these type of situations, who can't. And it all comes down to personnel, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. We've tried 5 at the back, 3 at the back. We've tried 2 strikers, and we just can't seem to get anything out of it. Obviously, the step now, obviously, people understand that the gap between the Championship and the Premier League is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a Leicester team here with maybe 1 or 2 players that have never played in the Prem. You know, these players have played in this division. They know what it's like. They know what, you know, you come up against week in, week out, and they've made to look silly, Jack. You know, most of our team are international as well when you look at it like that. You know, we've got a back line, and your 2 main centre-backs who have been absolutely awful this season are both, if not starters, for their international teams. You know, I just don't understand, because, you know, they go off on international duty and they play absolutely excellent, and then they come to us and then that's it. So I don't really know.
This is a big problem, isn't it? You know, you can see the mentality of these players at this football club. How important it is to have a mentality, the right mentality. And this squad at the minute hasn't got that at all. I haven't even got that in abundance. It don't come clear to the 14-15 squad this season, you know. It's the mentality is completely wrong at Leicester. The players. You look at Vestergaard bringing his bloody dog to training or whatever circumstance it is, and then he kind of thinks to himself, well, it's not kind of all that, is it? I've been dropped for 2 games, but I'm not concerned. But you should be as a player, shouldn't you? When you've been dropped from a team, you all of a sudden think to yourself, well, okay, then why have I been dropped? How can I improve? But it's like Vestergaard's like, yeah, I don't take that too seriously. But the mentality absolutely stinks, the play cell.
Going on that, I mean, you've obviously just said about Vestergaard taking his dog training, said, he's not bothered that he's been dropped and not played in 2 games. That's a player on £70,000 a week, Jack.
Yeah.
That's one of your meant to be leaders in the squad, and he's not bothered if he's playing or not. It goes to show that the players here that are taking complete advantage of the wages of the club, and they don't care if they play or not.
Yeah.
I think we're probably the only team in the Premier League that have had a player come out and say that. I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. I don't know how we can even say that he's not bothered about not playing. You play for that club, you should want to represent that badge. There's no fight from many of them. I think Vardy's the only one that's really showed heart in this team, emotional after games and stuff. Comes over and thanks to fans and acknowledges us, and how many times he's gave his shirt to a fan this season, I've lost count. And it's not just things like that, it's on the pitch as well. He's the one person that really cares. And you have, that's the problem, you have that imbalance, don't you? You have a few that do care, and you have a few that just are not bothered at all, and then that's why we're where we are now.
They're not quite up to standard, are they? Let's be fair. We've tried every defender, the Acoles. Koulibaly, £3 million in the summer, January. He's not a Ruud van Nistelrooy player. It kind of makes me think that January signing wasn't Van Nistelrooy. It was the club just to say, you know what, we're going to sweeten you up here. We'll sign you a player, and this is the player you've got, and this is what you've got to work with. And Ruud's like, well, hold on a minute, because how many times have you seen Koulibaly play since he's signed in January? I think he's had 1 game against Brentford when James Justin were injured. But that's a massive issue as well, isn't it? You've got players on the bench like your Oliver Skips and that, who cost so much money, and when they're not performing to the level you want them to really up their game, it's like it's very concerning.
I think Koulibaly's first minutes was Everton away, maybe, or did he play against Spurs away? But even so, I think it just goes to show that over the last couple of years, certainly, we've sort of signed players that they should have come into the starting 11, but they're more squad rotation players. I think the Koulibaly one was again another Ryan Bertrand signing, someone that makes them look like they want to do something in the window and makes them want to say, you know what, we have listened to the fans, we have made a signing. I'd have sooner have had no one. If you're not going to play Koulibaly and let him sit on the bench every game. I mean, James Justin was injured and we had no right back, and then it was the other game, I can't remember what it was, but we took James Justin off, and then we put Wout Faes at right back, and then we put a Cody at centre back with Cody, was it? Wout Faes at right back when you've got Koulibaly on the bench. You've just signed him. Why aren't you playing him? Respectively, Jack, you can't be any worse than what we have, surely.
This is the issue. And there's obviously issues on and off the pitch, aren't there? Van Nistelrooy is not really lit it up at Leicester, has he, regarding performances and the way he's gone about things and that. It goes down as one of the worst managers in Premier League history on stats. Obviously, one of Leicester's worst managers on stats and that as well. And it's concerning for Van Nistelrooy. A game like this against Manchester City, 13 defeats in the last 14 games where, remind you, going into this game, a side who, let me have a look at the stats. It's kind of worrying when you look at the Leicester have had the fewest shots, 262, and then expected goals of 25.8 of any side in the Premier League this season. It's a massive sort of problem, You know, we're not scoring. We're not creating enough chances. It's a big issue, isn't it, when you go in game on, and you know you come out with the same result when you're thinking, yeah, we're going to see the same thing this week. And when you're bottom of the pile regarding 25.8 of the percentage of shots you've had of 260 odd compared to all the other teams, and Leicester are the worst off. It's got to really sort of bring alarm bells, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going off the chances and things, I think it's important to realise that if you're creating chances and you're missing them and you're not scoring, it's okay. You know, it's okay. You can learn from that. But when you're not creating chances at all, it's a complete different scenario, isn't it? It's so much more difficult to work on if you're not even creating chances. You know, the creativity in this squad this season's been absolutely appalling, hasn't it?
Yeah.
There's not really a standout player that has said he's going to get an assist this game or so and so. I think Ndidi, when I said to you, Jack, he was on 4 assists when we played Arsenal away at the end of September. He's not got an assist since, and I think that shows, doesn't it, that we had a good start to the season as well, didn't we? You know, we scored in every game for the first 2-3 months, and then look at this now. It's not looking good at all.
This is the thing, and we've had 2 different managers, Cooper and Van Nistelrooy, and none of them's done anything after. Let's be fair. Obviously, Cooper's got 10 points, Van Nistelrooy's got 7. I think there was a stat that you looked at the other day, wasn't it, Connor, when we were chatting? I don't know if you've still got them bloody stats, but it's worrying, you know. And you know, in these next 9 games, you're playing against teams who can actually put the ball away, who can actually play well in games. The Newcastles, the Brightons, the Man Cities, the champions are probably elect at this minute. Liverpool, who are going to go on and win the title. Then you've got Nottingham Forest coming up. You've got Bournemouth coming up. And then people will look at the other, the other 2 games. Obviously, you've got Southampton, Wolves, Ipswich. And people think to yourself, well, you should get points from Ipswich, should be getting points from Southampton, and should be getting points from Wolves. But then we've lost to Wolves already this season. We've got an hammer in there. We drew to Ipswich away. Southampton, we just managed to nick the win by the skin of our teeth in the 96th minute. I think it was by Jordan Ayew. And it's the thing is with Leicester this season, it's been very much going into these games. These are the points you can get out of these games, like the Wolves, Everton's, them types of teams. And Leicester have obviously failed to do it, haven't they, Connor, in the games which have been very much must win.
See, I thought before the start of the game last time out, we had a chance to get something from the United game at home. You know, I was like, we've played them already 3 times this season. We've got Rudin. Surely there's something we can take from this. You know, they had Dorgo out. Højlund hadn't scored in 21 games before that. Fernandes obviously has been unreal this season, but they've not really managed to score a lot recently after they Man U. But absolutely ruined from start to finish again. And that's been since Christmas, Jack. That's pretty much the story every week, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've not really done a lot, have we? Terry said he's looking more forward to now pre-season. Obviously, pre-season is what, six weeks or so after the season finishes, and whether Ruud van Nistelrooy is Leicester's manager by then. What have you made of Ruud, Connor, before we get on to the Manchester City game? I mean, what have you actually made of how things have gone under Van Nistelrooy's tenure?
I think it's a difficult one because I don't think he's the right manager, certainly for where we are. I think the Prem's a massive step for any manager, certainly for his first, main English club. He was the Man United boss for a couple of games, wasn't he? But before that, he's not really done anything apart from in the Netherlands. So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one because he's not really had the backing from, the owner and whatever else to transfers and anything else. So it brings you down to players you've got. And, if you can't work with the players you've got, you're not really that great of a manager. You should still be scoring goals and creating chances in any league with the players you have.
Yeah.
And he's not. His subs at times have been absolutely appalling. But again, it comes down to not having a lot of, assets that you can bring on the pitch. We're chasing a 2-goal lead, and we're trying to bring on, Jordan Ayew and Patson Daka haven't scored in absolutely ages. So I don't know. It's a bit of a harsh one, but I just don't think he's been the right man for us. And I do agree with most people that Cooper would have certainly got more points.
I think that's a hindsight thing, isn't it? People say, yeah, but Cooper would have got more points. But that's saying that in hindsight because of how bad things have gone under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Let's have a look. I'll tell you what. Let's look at the game. Manchester City versus Leicester. You could call it the tale of the cities. These two sides, before we talk about Man City, let's look at Leicester. Leicester, Ruud van Nistelrooy did say in his press conference today about Ricardo Pereira. Obviously, Ricardo was out against Man United. I think he had a muscular injury. And that seems to be the story of the season thing with Ricardo, in it. The injuries and that. It's hindered his career of how good he was before when we used to have prime Ricardo in that. And it's just a shame that things have ended the way they have for him. And it's quite sad to see significantly in that of how important he was as a squad player and that, and then did well in the Championship last year to then not get fancied under Steve Cooper at all, which I find very mind-blowing, if I'm honest with you. But Ruud says he could be back for this game. I think that's a real positive again, if they can get him back. Ruud obviously talks about how he's utilised the international break. He goes on to say we've had less players away from here, so we've had a big group. We introduced some younger players into the group who had a good week with the first team. The way we're training, we're doing everything to get the most out of our players. The appetite is there to show ourselves, and we have to prove that on Wednesday. How many times have you heard that this season from Van Nistelrooy about the appetite, the fight that apparently this team's got, which on abundance, watching these with your own eyes, they haven't?
Yeah, it's every single time before the game he says the same thing, that the players have been working hard in training, and then after the game he'll come out an hour later and say, we just wasn't good enough that game, or it wasn't meant to be for us. And sometimes he'd even say, we created enough and we should have got more out of the game, but I think it's just garbage.
I agree, Terry. Only thing that will lift the fans is introducing some homegrown talent. Jeremy Monger, Jake Evans, Michael Golding, and who is in under 23s as well, who we brought for £5 million, who's not been seen since pre-season against Shrewsbury Town away. Do you think this would kind of give these younger players a bit more of opportunity? Do you think that's what Ruud has to do in these next 10 games? Give them the opportunity to prove themselves, because they're going to be hungry, aren't they, to say, you know what, maybe I will be here one day in the first team, and this is our first taste to prove that we can get up to these levels.
Yeah, as of now, if I was manager, I'd say, you know what, have a blast. They've got nothing to lose. They're players that have come through the academy ranks. They know what Leicester's all about in the background, don't they? How much it means for the fans, everyone involved, even for them, on the pitch. That they're going to give 100%, even if they do lose, obviously, because the quality shows. They're players that are hungry, the players that want to fight, and that's what we need, Jack. I think that's what we've been asking for all season. I just don't think we've had that. So, yeah, get them all on. What's there to lose now?
Ruud talks about formation going into this game. He speaks very much highly about it. Is it the three at the back that he's playing at the minute? He said it's working. Obviously, against Man United, that showed otherwise, that it didn't work. The same things happening time and time again. No matter what the formation is with Van Nistelrooy, the same things happen time and time again. It's a vicious circle, and obviously it worked against Chelsea to an extent, didn't it? They defended for a certain amount of time until bloody Chelsea scored, and then Man United, you go and concede bloody 3 goals, don't you, to be fair? And then it proves to yourself, whatever formation, whatever team we play, the same thing's going to happen time and time again, because it's not just down to that type of philosophy, is it? It's also down to how much the players actually try and want them type of games to actually go and earn points.
Yeah, it's been the same story, hasn't it? I just agree with you. I'm struggling on what to say because it feels like it's every single week we say the same thing, isn't it? And it just seems like nothing's changing with how we are. We've not played great, and it's the players are saying they're trying and all sorts of things like that. I just don't know where we can go from here with it, to be honest. I don't know what else Ruud can try with the squad and, before the end of the season to try and get some points. So some people, I think it's 99% faith now, isn't it, Jack, with the 1% reality of it happening. So it is, we'll see what happens, I suppose.
How do Leicester go into this game? I mean, I know I've asked a question on many shows about how Leicester City sort of go into this game mentality-wise and that, but how do Leicester go into this game? I mean, if you were, let's put you in the shoes of Van Nistelrooy for a minute. How would you want your team to go into this type of game in the it's like a bloody Mount Everest challenge, isn't it, for Leicester City? It's like a three-peat challenge this season, playing against these bigger sides and that. But how do you think we need to go into this game against Man City?
Don't be too defensive. Don't set up with Favre at the back, because for me, you set Favre up at the back and you invite them in straight away. You invite them in outside the box, and Man City love playing outside the box. I think Ruud goes and puts three up front. Left wing, right wing, and a striker at least, to make sure Man City have them players back, because it showed against Bournemouth as well that they are quite vulnerable at the back. But listen, he's probably going to go with a Favre at the back, which won't really surprise me, and then we'll be struggling to get forward with the ball. And when we do get forward, there'll be no one up there to counter attack, and we haven't really got the players that are quick enough to do so. So I don't know, but personally, I would just go with a 4-3-3 or something along those lines, and make sure we have some wingers on the pitch. But you never know, Jack. I don't think he's going to go attacking at all. I think he'd park the bus from the off and hope for a draw.
I think to be fair, we need to see more than one shot on target. Let's be honest. I mean, Leicester are one of them sides. You look at it in every game, we'll have one shot on target in the first 10 minutes. And Manchester City are the class arts, aren't they, of keeping the ball. And when they do keep the ball, it's getting it back off them. And this is the issue Leicester's going to face. You give Man City the ball, they're going to pick you off. You've got to... Yeah. You can't go and put two players on De Bruyne, because then you've got a Foden to bloody worry about, or a Gundogan, or a Grealish, Marmoush, them types of players, So it's difficult to set up against Man City, obviously. Before we talk about Man City, let's have a look at last time we played Man City. 2-0 defeat. Leicester, you could say it was their best home performance of the season to date. Probably the best bloody game all season, to be fair. A Manchester City side who were very lacking confidence. They're on a poor run of form the last time they played us. Leicester had so many chances in the game to score a goal. It didn't happen, and Haaland punished us, and so did... who scored the Man City's first goal?
Savinho, I think.
Savinho, that right. The guy who hadn't scored in the Premier League for a while. I think that was his first Premier League goal or some sort.
It might have been.
Leicester set up well that day, didn't they? They set up in the right sort of sense to go out and express themselves against Man City, getting the likes of Buonanotte on the ball, Jamie Vardy's, them types of players. We looked more attacking influence, but the only thing we were lacking was very much in front of goal. But when you don't take your chances against a side like Man City, then they'll put you to bed, But Leicester seem to be the gift that keep on giving in it. These teams are on very poor form. They don't take advantage. They always seem to say, you know what, here's 3 points. And that's happened on many of occasions where you think, you know what, we can get at these today. These haven't been great. And it's time for Leicester to really push themselves against these teams and cause them a problem. But, we seem to cause our own problems, don't we, Connor? And obviously it did prove in that game against Man City last time round that that's the issue. can't score goals, and then get punished straight after.
Yeah, 100%. That game against Man City at the King Power in December was by far the most complete performance, I think, by a mile that we've gave this season. The players really showed it, and I think that was the only game they've all come off with some sort of cramp. The work rate was excellent. I can remember it now. Vardy had a chance for about 5 yards out. The ball was in the air, and he tried kneeing it over the bar, didn't he? When he could have just headed it. But yeah, I mean, when you play against a team like Man City, if you're having these chances, you've got to go 1-2 up, haven't you? And if you don't, they're going to punish you at the end of the day. They're not going to sit back. They're going to be like, you know what, we've got the quality here. We're going to put this game to bed, and we're going to take you to the cleaners. And they did. And Man City, Liverpool, I remember both of them, towards the Christmas period, wasn't it? And even Anfield went 1-0 up, and we looked good, in them 2 games. And I don't know. I just don't know where that fight's been since. I think it's just disappeared, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about Man City. I mean, Jesus. I mean, they've not had the season they expected. I mean, they again should have been challenging for the title. I mean, they've won the title, the last 4 times in a row in the Premier League. Obviously, this would have been the 5th season if they had been up there battling again. But it's been a very much off sort of season for Guardiola, hasn't it? It's been very frustrating regarding these injuries that they've had. Key players have been missing, like De Bruyne's and players like that, And it's not been a smooth sort of outing for Man City. I know they're up in the table, aren't they? Fighting for them Champions League places. But what have you made of Man City this season and Guardiola?
I think they've struggled with players coming and going. They've had leaders go in the past couple of years. Your companies, your Fernandinho's, your Gundogan when he first left, he's come back and he's not really, gave him the same sort of energy and versatility in the midfield that he gave them last time. And obviously De Bruyne hasn't been all that this season, has he? Let's be honest. And listen, they've struggled with injuries a lot this season, granted. Kyle Walker was a baffling one as well. He went to AC Milan, didn't he? And they've not really got a right back in to replace him. They've been playing Mateus Nunes at right back, which is a weird one. But yeah, they've been really weird to watch as well. You've not really been able to say, yeah, they're going to go and win this game. Foden's been off it this season. Haaland's missed a couple of penalties now, hasn't he, this season? And I think they got this Spanish guy in CDM to try and, bolster that midfield when Rodri got injured. But it's clear to see how much they've missed Rodri, ain't they, Jack?
Yeah. This is the problem. Rodri's that orchestra in midfield. He's the man that makes them tick in the midfield. This is why I revert back to Cambiasso in the 14-15 season. The experience, the knowledge, the orchestra. The orchestra starts playing when them types of players are on the pitch. And he makes them work. He makes them tick. And everything will go through the midfield with them types of players. And Rodri's been a massive miss for Manchester City. That injury hindered the chances, didn't it? With all these injuries that they had and everything like that. Guardiola's had to try something different this season. He's never been in this position before where you're thinking, bloody hell, Manchester City ain't been great, because they're used to keeping the ball and dominating games. And I think in some of the games this season, they haven't really dominated at all. They've lost to Bournemouth away. They've had some real shock defeats, haven't they? What people wouldn't have been expecting, But the thing is, you look at Ederson. Ederson's not been at best this season, has he, to be honest? They've obviously had the other keeper in goal. Who's the other keeper? The Manchester City number 2.
Ortega, I think.
Ortega, that's it. He played against Leicester last time. But this has been Manchester City's issue. Guardiola's had to try and think of plan B. How can I make this different? How do I get through these games with the players that I've got available? Obviously, Haaland, it's been a bit of a mixed season for him, hasn't it, in front of goal, where he's scored quite a few in one game, but he's not been hitting the target in others. And that's a striker that's been frustrated this season, Erling Haaland. He has scored goals, but he's not scored more than what he should be scoring. And this has been the shock to probably FPL fans, the Fantasy Football League sports in the Premier League, like, will bank on Haaland this week. And then thinks he said, well, Haaland ain't been on the score sheet. And that's been a massive problem, hasn't it? You could see in yesterday's game against Bournemouth, in the FA Cup game, where he'd missed a penalty. He'd missed another chance where he put over the bar. And then the third chance he scores. But then if he'd done that on Wednesday night against Leicester, it would go in. I think I think that's been very much him this season, hasn't it, Connor? Erling Haaland, a very frustrated striker at best.
Yeah, I think he's been he's been poor ever since that Arsenal incident with Gabriel. I think as well with every player certainly, but Haaland especially, media's really affected him. The pressure that he's had on him. It's the same shown with Cole Palmer, isn't it? But Haaland's really struggled recently with just everything. You can see his body language is, he's not that vibrant, electric striker that he was at the start of the season and was last season. I'd have been more scared about playing against Isak, than Haaland this season. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one with him, isn't it? He's had a bit of a mixed season. I still don't think it would have stopped him scoring 5 against us on Wednesday, but.
Oh.
Yeah, hopefully his injury isn't too serious for them because I'm sure they'll want him back as soon as possible. But yeah, I think it's the class is permanent, the form's a temporary thing, but he has really struggled in the last couple of months. Yeah,
21 goals this season. It's some going obviously 6 behind Mo Salah, who's bloody scores goals bloody on empty business. Bloody Mo Salah, he scores goals every week. He's a pivotal part of Liverpool's bloody attack, Mo Salah, and I think without him, Liverpool's bloody attack wouldn't look the same. Let's be honest. If he leaves at the end of the season on a free, you've got to find someone better, and I don't think there anyone is, unless you could bring Isak in from Newcastle. But would he want to leave Newcastle? Could he push on with Newcastle is another thing, and that's where you always think about. But yeah, like you say, class is permanent with Haaland. He's a very good striker. He's a fierce striker, and you don't like to defend against him when he's at his best, and obviously he went through a goal drought. I think before he played Leicester the first time, and he managed to score against Leicester, and you don't give them types of strikers anywhere near the goal, and obviously Leicester did. But this is one of a tough game of many, isn't it, Connor, on Wednesday night at the Etihad? Obviously, Man City have got is it like a protest going on?
Something about that, isn't it, with the 9th minute, but I'm not sure what's happening with that, to be honest.
I think it's Voyogo, I think it is, where they feel that people are being out of priced on tickets and that. And this is where you think to yourselves, good on them Manchester City fans, innit? You know what I mean? Who want to protest against them types of things, because football's a business now, and it's a business thing, innit? The love of football, what it used to be, it's not quite the same.
No, completely agreed. I think there's a lot of teams this season that have been talking about the prices and things. We had it with Man United in the cup, didn't we, at 60 quid a ticket? Fair play to them for speaking up, and I hope that the club that acknowledge it. So it's one of them things, isn't it? You can protest and things all you want, but if the club ain't gonna sort of look at it and say, what, the fans are what make this club still go and still running, they've got to do something about it. But listen, I can't see anything happening with that, to be honest.
Let's go and have a look at a few stats ahead of this game before we talk about last time round and whatever in the Premier League against them. But let's have a look at the season so far. Manchester City, Leicester, 5th versus 19th, 48 points to the 17. Goals scored, 55. Leicester have scored 25. They've scored less than half of what Manchester City, have scored. Leicester, it's all red for Leicester City in the last 5 games in all competition. Manchester City have picked up 2 wins in their last 5 games in all competition. Previous meetings, Manchester City have won 45 of the 93 played against Leicester. Leicester have won 28, 20 draws. Previous scores, 2-0 to Manchester City in, like you say, December. 3-1 back in April 15th, which is a shit birthday for me, when Manchester City absolutely pasted us in that first half, which we're going to get onto that game very shortly. And then Manchester City in 2022, won 1-0. Do you like some match facts, Connor? Should we have a look at some match facts?
Let's do it.
Right, okay. So Manchester City have won 21 of their last 22 games against newly promoted opposition, drawing one game, including each of their last 12 in a row, the joint longest such run in the top flight history. Also 12 in a row from December 2009 to 2011. Leicester have lost 13 of their last 14 Premier League games, winning one, including their last 6 in a row without scoring a single goal in English top flight history. Only three sides have ever lost 7 without scoring in succession. Sunderland, Ipswich, and Crystal Palace. So the last 6 in a row without scoring for the Foxes in the league. So if they lose against Manchester City, I think it'd be 7 games. Manchester City have won 1 each of their last 13 Premier League games in April. Only Liverpool in December have won 15 from 2017 to 2020. And Manchester United in March 15 between 2005 and 2008. Leicester have had fewest shots, 262, and expected goals of 25.8% of any side in the Premier League this season, which conversely only Liverpool, 492 shots, have attempted more shots than Manchester City's 466. So they've had bloody double of what bloody Leicester's had. Amongst all managers to take charge of 15 plus Premier League games with a particular club, Ruud van Nistelrooy with Leicester City is now joint the second highest loss rate of 81.3%, 13 defeats in the last 16, while Pep Guardiola is the second highest win percentage of 17.8, 239 wins in 333 games. I mean, some stat in it, Connor, that to go from referring to Ruud van Nistelrooy to bloody the succession of Pep Guardiola.
I think the average betting man's going to be certainly staying away from Leicester on Wednesday, ain't they, Jack? With their match facts, going back to scoring 25 this season, you say Haaland's got 21 and he's been injured for quite a bit. It says something, doesn't it?
Leicester City have conceded the first goal in 24 of their 29 Premier League games this season, at least 5 more than anyone else. Should they fall 1-0 behind to Manchester City here, it will be the outright most times a team has conceded first in their opening 30 matches of a Premier League campaign. 25, surpassing Ipswich's record from the 1994-1995 with 24. So Leicester's on 24 at the minute. If they concede one more first and Manchester City get out first goal, Leicester beat the record of Ipswich, then conceding the first goal in their opening 30 matches. I mean, some great stat to what bloody have that is if you're a bloody Leicester fan reading this.
Or a lot of breaking records, though, Jack. You should know this.
Well, yeah. Manchester City's Erling Haaland has scored 48 goals in his 47 league home games. Should he score twice against Leicester if he plays and turns into Superman and actually quickly gets over this injury, because he is a doubt. They've not said I don't think they've said he's out. I know he's been seen wear a boot on his foot, and I don't know if that's a precaution or what, but I think they'll check on that, which I think they'll see with Guardiola tomorrow, which he did in his previous home games leagues against them in scored twice against Leicester, which he did in his only previous home league game against them in April 2023. He will be just the second player to reach 50 goals in fewer than 50 home league appearances after Alan Shearer, who scored his 50th in 47 home league games in February 1995. Omar Marmoush, Premier League goal this season has come at the Etihad, the joint most of any player to score 100% of their goals at home in the competition. Mark Cucurella also has 4 out of 4. The only players to have scored each of their last 5 goals in the Premier League for Manchester City, all at home, are Paulo Wanchop, Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden. I mean, there's the stats ahead of Leicester City versus Manchester City on Wednesday night. Let me try and get us back to normal screen. There we go. What did you make of the stats, Connor? There, I mean, I know you said Leicester City love breaking stats, but it seems very much this season where Leicester, they're on the wrong end of them.
Yeah, 100%. There's been no stat this season that we've broken a good way, certainly. I'm sure there's going to be one or two more before the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, Man City have been incredible, haven't they, since, the turn of like 2013, 2014. They've been absolutely unreal. The recruitment, they brought up lots of Foden, Cole Palmer before he took his move to Chelsea. The players that they have brought in and sold, Cancelo, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, Leroy Sané. We could name hundreds, couldn't we? But yeah, credit to Man City for obviously what they've done. But as for Leicester, I think Wednesday's just going to be an absolute nightmare for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems that way. Let's have a look at last time at the Etihad. I mean, I did mention it. Man City 3, Leicester 1, and I think it was a party pooper for Man City. I went to Manchester for the weekend for my birthday. Obviously, the day of the game was my birthday, and yeah, not the prettiest of birthday. I think I enjoyed my birthday cake more than the bloody game itself. 3-0 down at half time. Dean Smith was the manager at that point, and second half, they took Haaland off. Leicester looked fantastic in that second half. Maddison had chances, hit an Nacho. We looked a completely different side. We had a lot more fight, a lot more courage. We knew we'd lost the game, but then we showed, that we can step up. Which I think it was a bit too late, to be fair. Obviously, Nacho did score in the game, but Erling Haaland did score. I thought he was going to get a hat-trick against us. I think it was banked on that he would get a hat-trick against us, which he just which was shy of in that first half. But do you see that same type of game on Wednesday night where Leicester have got to be bloody on their toes, aren't they, against Manchester City? They can't be flat-footed. They've got to bloody do some bloody defending, aren't they, on Wednesday night? Because Manchester City, they like to pick out the spaces, don't they? And they're good at doing that. And they've got a lot of pace going forward. Players who can score goals. Obviously, Marmoush has made a very good start to his Manchester City career and that. But, I mean, do you see that type of game on Wednesday night for the Foxes?
Yeah, 100%. I just think, from the off, we've got to win every single aerial. We've got to be really good with heading out, clearances, winning second balls, first balls, and not giving away too many corners, not letting them get crosses in easily. That comes, from the fullbacks. We've spoke before, haven't we, Jack? Out on the fullbacks, there's been a lot of crosses that they've just let go into the box this season. That's just unforgivable. You can't just let a ball go into the box, especially when Man City did have Haaland up front. But around the box, we know Man City like playing around that edge of that 18-yard box, and we've got to counter with menace. And I think by doing that, we have to start our fast wingers, like I said earlier. But yeah, we've got to be very much on it on Wednesday, and I think it's damage limitation. I think realistically the main thing.
Yeah, I think we'll have that first shot on target, and then we'll probably go missing by that point. It's a massive problem. We let wingers run at us. Christensen's bloody bad at it. James Justin, and they don't help themselves. This is the thing, and we let teams more onto us. We've let teams have more shots against us than we've had against them, which is a massive worry for Leicester, for any team in the Premier League. 17 points at this point of the season. With a team who's struggling even to fight or even score goals is a massive worry, and I think, the stat goes clear, doesn't it? The 3 teams that came up have been the worst 3 to go back down. It very much looks like.
Yeah, I think next season as well, with Leeds looking on the up as well, and Sheffield United, Burnley, one of them two are going to get promoted as well, I'm sure. you're going to really see the gap, aren't you? And I don't think really any of them Leeds players that are in their team are Prem quality either. So, it's really interesting, isn't it? The gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger, doesn't it? Look at last season, the likes of Brentford, Fulham, Bournemouth in the bottom 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Now it's absolutely crazy. The Prem's just getting even better and better for standard, but yeah, it's crazy.
Right. Let me try something. Let me try and share my screen. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a look at a team at the minute. We're going to pick our 11. Let's have a look at last 5 at the Etihad. Man City's won 4. Leicester have won 1. I think last time Leicester won at the Etihad was the 5-2 win over Man City in COVID, which seems very much far away, doesn't it, Connor? Jamie Vardy scored a hat-trick that day against Man City. Maddison scored an absolute cracker. And, we fully deserve the result. And I think if you had to pick a game, Connor, which is most memorable to the Leicester getting something at the Etihad, which game would you put in there? I mean, that 5-2 is going to be up there, isn't it? But then what other games would you actually pick from a most memorable game at the Etihad?
See, I've never been to Etihad, but the 3-1 when Morris scored was an absolutely phenomenal one. But yeah, the 3-1 and the 5-2 are certainly the highlights for me at the Etihad.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 3-1-1. That was the best away game that season, and that was the time I said, you know what, we could probably go on and win this, and we did, and yeah, what scenes at the Etihad that day. Robert Oof with 2 goals, and great memories. Let's get on to team selection. I mean, the starting 11. Let me share my screen, see if this actually works, this formation creator. What formation do you want to go with, Connor?
What formation would he pick?
Should we stick with a 5-3-2?
I think it's the 5-2-3 they play, isn't it? Because they had the left and the right winger. They had El Canus on the left last time, didn't they?
I'll tell you what, we'll stick with the 5. I'll tell you what, we'll go with a 5-3-2. We'll just play it like that. Let me see if I can move El Canus out. Yeah, probably look more like that, wouldn't it, to be fair? But then again, did he have 2 up front last game against...
He had the number 8 on the left wing and then the number 10 on the right wing. That was it. That's sort of what we was working with last game.
Okay, well, we'll try this then. So let's go with the first one. I mean, goalkeeper's obviously going to be Mads Hermansen. We'll go with Hermansen in goal. Back 3.
Okoli's got to be in there for me.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
On the left.
Bit more pace and power, yeah.
Connor Cody in the middle.
Connor
the
Cody.
leader.
I mean, do you put Wout Fass in or do you put Luke Thomas there?
I'd put Luke Thomas in, but I wouldn't have him on the right. I don't think I'd swap probably. Or I'd probably put Okoli at the right centre back, Okoli in the middle, and Luke Thomas on the left.
Right, so let me try this. It don't really matter how the bloody shape is. It's not going to make any difference. I'd drop Wout Fass, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right, wing backs.
It's not going to happen, but I'd have James Justin on the left and Koulibaly on the right.
All right, so Justin. Yeah, do you know what? I'd take Koulibaly. I'd put Koulibaly in. I'd drop him.
And I'd have Justin over Christensen as well.
I'd drop Christensen. I don't think he's that good, to be honest. I tell you what, I need to move that number 11 and put number 9 up front. Right, midfield.
Well,
do you put Harry Winks in with Ndidi, or what do you reckon? Or do you go with Samora and Ndidi? See, the Samora and Ndidi one's not been working, has it? Let's be
No,
honest.
that's what I was thinking. I'd put Winks in 100%, but
Okay.
it's who you put him with, is the issue.
Did you put Ndidi in?
Yeah, I think we'd go Ndidi.
Right. Okay. Cool.
I don't think it's been entirely Samare's fault, but he has been at fault for the last two. I think we conceded the 2 against Man United, just losing the ball in silly areas.
Right. Let me move. Hold on. So if I move up number 11 there, let me put Winks in as his number 8. Right. Okay. Let me take Ndidi's name out and then put it in that one. Ndidi. Right. Go on then. Front three.
What's it? 10. Swap 11 and 10 over.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I'd have. That'd be my front three.
So who would you put in?
Mavidi, Vardy, and El Canus, the numbers.
Okay. El Canus, yeah.
Vardy and Mavididi, quite literally the numbers they are.
Vardy. Mavididi. Yeah. I mean, Ricardo's not going to start, is he? Let's be honest.
No.
But I think that's a quite different side. I mean, I won't make changes. I mean, I could probably put Koulibaly in there, if I'm honest with you, over James Justin. I think maybe I'd swap Koulibaly and James Justin over. But I don't know. I think that looks like a reasonable side for me. Thomas, Cody. I mean, Luke Thomas, I think he's done all right, hasn't he, since he's come in? I think he's been very much a better player. Is Haaland out against us? I'm not sure yet. Did you hear the Leeds fan saying he wants Steve Cooper to take over for the remainder of the season? He said we're falling apart again. I mean, if you want Steve Cooper as manager, my friend, then that's up to you. But each to their own. Big up, Jack. As bad as Man City are this season, we are still going to get stuffed. I mean, we normally get stuffed at Christmas, pal, eating our Christmas dinners, but I think Christmas might come early for bloody Leicester City. Might get an early Christmas present, but it's probably not going to be the one that we'd expect, to be honest. And yeah, I probably see quite a few goals going in us, to be honest, because we can't seem to score at all. And yeah, I don't think we expect anything out of this game otherwise. Connor, score prediction.
Oh dear. Oh,
I can see a hammering, if I'm
4-1.
honest. You think we'll score?
You know what? I think we'll actually score first. And then that'll be it. I think it'll be 2-1 to Man City at half time, and then I'll go on to win 4-1.
I don't like.
I think our first shot on target will go in. We'll absolutely stun them. And then that'll be it. It'll be 1-1 within the next 5-10 minutes. And then they'll score again, go in at half time 2-1. And that's it. Second half will be an obliteration.
I don't like going against my own team, yeah. And the thing is, in the circumstances that they are, you cannot bet against it. Let's be honest, Leicester are in free fall. And, I just think it's going to get worse at the Etihad, and maybe them 7 straight games without a goal is going to happen for us, because I don't see us scoring. I think they're too resolute for us. We score, I want an open top paper us. I mean, we might as well do that around bloody Manchester. They need a Champions League place. We won't win. So this is it, Terry. They've still got a lot to play for, Man City, and they've got a lot of good quality to put us away on Wednesday night. And there's only about 1,000 odd Leicester fans going, so I don't think it's going to be a great watching. I think we're going to be watching it through our fingers, I'm afraid. But I think Man City, I think this could be a 4+ game in this one. If I'm honest, I think they'll probably beat us about 4-0. But if it's even worse than that, then I think you might be leaving the game early. If I'm honest, I think people might as well get the train back. Because if we're worse than we are again, what we was against Man United and Brentford, it's not going to look pretty. It could be bloody 4-0 by half time if we don't bloody watch it how we played this season. But Yeah, that's it. We've previewed the Manchester City game. We've put stats in there and that. We've done everything. And time for Leicester City to go to the Etihad and just turn up. And if we score, it's like winning the Premier League again, like I say. But Connor, thanks for coming on. Appreciate
Pleasure.
it. And I'll catch you up with you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jack. Cheers, guys.
That is it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Go check out the throwback what I did with Rob Tanner. The Premier League champions 15-16. We look back on that 15-16 season. We also look back on the 14-15 Great Escape season. I mean, that feels so far away. I mean, Cambi Asso was just an elite player at that point, but that was a great game. Great season. Won't be a queue at the bar. That's it, Terry, mate. That is it, my mate. Probably the only good thing about Manchester City away is the main road chippy on the corner for all the fans that are going. So, yeah, get there nice and early. Probably enjoy a good fish and chips or something. But, yeah, see you Wednesday, mate. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. There'll be a match day vlog out Wednesday as the match day vlogs return. Manchester City away. Let's get on with it, shall we? Next 9 games. And, yeah, let's see what happens. But, yeah, can it go on like this for Leicester City? Mick?
It can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
And that is it then. Mick McCarthy's spoken. I'll catch you soon. Thanks for watching. If you watch this on playback, let me know your thoughts as always. And take care. Hi all, thank you for watching The Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.